two really neat sci-fi stories, one told with a glossy comic, one told with a photocopied digest. They're both good. Let's take a look.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everyone, it's Tom. It's FANzine Live. We are doing new releases today. I'm not exactly sure that these are entirely new, but they're new to me, so we're going to give them a shot. And these, of course, were also from Cartoon Crossroads Columbus. Two gentlemen were at the community table. Alex Clark, whose work we will look at actually later this week, and C.W. Drescher. And the two of them are positioned at this table where they get basically an hour-ish from Cartoon Crossroads Columbus to come in for free and sell their wares. And so as I was flying my way through, these guys sitting at the table and wanted to introduce myself and see what they had. And they had good stuff. And we're going to take a look at C.W. Drescher's work today. C.W. Drescher, as I have seen here at the end of this, says it is a comic creator from Los Angeles, been telling science fiction stories as long as he can remember and drawing for longer. Now lives in Columbus. And you can find him on Instagram, and we'll have some links there as well in the show notes. C.W. Drescher is a Columbus College of Art and Design grad. CCAD's contribution by simply existing to the Columbus zine scene cannot be overrated. Cartooning comes through this town. So we have the historical work, and you can read all sorts of great stuff about Columbus's and Ohio's fantastic cartooning history over at the Billy Ireland Museum at Ohio State University. But when you're talking about the heartbeat, the true on-the-ground cartooning that's happening, it's getting pumped out in large part thanks to CCAD. And C.W. Drescher is part of that. Came from L.A., now in Columbus, contributing, augmenting the scene. I think it's fantastic. Had two books. I believe Drescher said this was maybe a project for CCAD called Red Bounty. It's a pretty simple book. A nice, and I mean, already starts, you can see, nice signature, of course, done in 2023. Full glossy comic book, probably done by the likes of a Kablam or a Comics Wellspring or something like that. But it's $24.50, and so he's already jumping into the science fiction. The cartooning is very simple. You can see there's minimal shading. His shading is really done largely with heavy blacks, like for the wrinkles on the shirt here. But you don't see a ton of shading there. Where he does his shading, and it shows up best up here, is in the colors. Otherwise, it's largely flats. And actually, even in some of these landscape shots, it's still flat. Probably for what it is, it could either have boosted the color complexity or added to the shading on the cartooning. It just seems like it's a touch light for what he's trying to get done. Interesting little piece about this guy, this bounty hunter, who's being sent along with this guy to retrieve some equipment that was stolen. The equipment is helping these people out in the middle of the desert build a well. But unfortunately, it becomes this guy, the original bounty hunter, and his buddy get crossways, and this is the guy who's running the well drilling operation. These folks are just simply kind of survivalists trying to live out in the desert. And the younger guy thinks that his job is to go after the people, whereas this guy understands it's to go after the machinery. And then it becomes ugly. You get a lot of action, you get a little bit of concept, and of course at the end you get the lawman dropping his weapon, disgusted with the entire situation, or the bounty hunter, and he walks off into the distance. So that's Red Bounty. The one I really wanted to talk to you about, though, was Orbit Decay. I like Orbit Decay. It's almost like a manga size, not quite a 5.5 by 8.5 book digest. It seems like it's a little bit off proportion. Actually, it's more the proportion of a standard mini comic, such as, Hudson's Bay Company here as a quarter-page mini comic. That actually works out probably better as that. This is a photocopied saddle stitch zine. Probably could have benefited from a bone folder, but that's all right. The cartooning, again, is light. The shading, as you can see, really isn't quite there. He makes up for it with some really impressive detail. Nice little sketch that he did, I guess, with a Sharpie. Nice signature. Thank you, CW. Something I like about Drescher's work is that he tells self-contained sci-fi stories. So Red Bounty was its own story, beginning, middle, end. It's done. Orbit Decay, beginning, middle, end. It'll be done. And in this instance, he has one character, two characters. This is Chen, and this is Bazkida. So Bazkida and Chen. They basically are going through their challenges of being youngsters on this floating space station that they're on. Nice establishing shots, by the way. Both the wide shot and then gets a little tighter and gets a little tighter. Very nice. Nice silhouette there. Some good visual interest. A little bit of an overhead distance shot. So he's got a talker going on here, but he looks like he's using Wally Wood's 22 panels to spice it up. So they go through and they have their kind of young adult angst, and then the conflict action happens. And that is that we've established that Bazkida has skills and is being underappreciated and underused, but then space junk hits the station. It appears to be falling toward the planet. I think it's Mars that it's falling toward. She knows what has to be done to save the station. Apparently, the station has these thrusters that'll push it back out into orbit when it gets bumped like this. She knows how to fix it, and I guess the growth of the station over time has screwed up a lot of these thrusters, so she knows how to get it done. So she runs out and she says she's going to do what must be done and fully accept the consequences. Some neat action type pieces here. Got the thruster to work. She gets left behind. She's accepting her fate. But look who saves her in the end. Her buddy Chen. I like this on a number of levels. And actually, if you read this, there's a whole lot to this story, the backstory, if you will, that didn't make it into here. But the concept of the story is so strong because he's done his backstory. Word to the wise, if you want to write something good, sometimes you have to write a whole lot extra to get to the point where you can tell the story you want to tell, because you have to flesh out why things are the way they are. And he does a very good job on that. One final point about this book that I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate. I'm going to bring Red Bounty back in here. And it's not that I didn't like Red Bounty. I thought it was a fine book. And maybe if this was a CCAD project, that he was told that he had to do it as a full-size glossy comic, that he had to do color, that he had to do what he did. It's a really nice looking comic. However, for my money and for my purposes, I'm actually more a fan of this format. There are precedents for using this type of format as an accomplished artist, and Drescher is pretty darn good as a cartoonist. there's precedence for using the simplest of tools to tell your story. I'm going to bring one into the mix right now, Dishman by John McLeod. This is a 1980s mini comic series. Dishman was 1988. And this is my hardcover collection. It's so highly regarded that they collected it into hardcover. But this was really just 8.5 by 11 Xeroxes. They weren't Xerox, they were offset printed. But it's just 8.5 by 11, black and white, never had color, never even had spot color or hand coloring, just folded over. And he told incredible stories with Dishman. Good artwork. And these are just straight up reproductions on extremely high quality paper, but the size is the exact same. You can tell a great story with a photocopied digest. You can tell a pretty good story with a photocopied mini comic, quarter page mini comic. I've seen some very good ones done. So it can be done. Yet, because we have the tools, because we have the ability, some folks say, I've got to do a big glossy comic. When, if you look at what Drescher is doing here, instead of putting his money and his effort into the window dressing of a full glossy comic, he instead has put his time and effort into good page construction, good cartooning, a good story. I just really appreciate the ethic behind this. I'd love to see more people stop trying to make fancy looking comics when they don't need to be fancy. Save your money. Make a good looking zine like Drescher has done here. Get it out into the world. Get yourself an audience. Build up your skills. And as you improve, then jump in and do a full-size comic. Then jump in and do full color. It's not necessary right now. He's telling good stuff. Orbit Decay. What do you think about all this, folks? Do you like the sci-fi comics? Do you like my philosophy on make a photocopy zine instead of a full-size comic if you can? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about all that. And of course, as always, don't forget, like the video, subscribe to FANzine Live, and tell your friends both about Drescher's great work, but also you can, use this to talk about the difference between the different types of comics that can be made. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This is Tom, FANzine Live, another gem from Cartoon Crossroads Columbus 2025. I will catch you next time.